Good afternoon, hope you're all doing alright. Ashes here, and this is my first attempt at vlogging. I did my research and watching plenty of atheist dating videos for inspiration, so this should be fun. In this one, I'll rank main Tomb Raider and Lara Croft game series and select my personal top 10 out of them. I will be including gold add-on packs for the first 3 Tomb Raider games, but I will not be including mobile versions of it or the ones that were released on Game Boy. And the sponsor of this video is my humble opinion. My humble opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but you can leave yours in the comment section below. I mean, actually, I'm quite serious to know what is your top 10 Tomb Raider games, so, you know. So, number 10. Cool. Tomb Raider 3. There are some awesome parts in Tomb Raider 3, but the entire game does not resonate with me as much as other Tomb Raider games in this particular list. I do love Lara's home. I spent probably days exploring it. I just enjoyed, you know, running around. I know there's no enemies, there's creepy Winston who you could lock in the fridge and stuff like that. It's just something that I really actually enjoyed doing. But then again, at this time, I was actually playing a lot of Sims 1, so that's probably, you know, it's not like I was playing Sims in Tomb Raider, but I was playing Tomb Raider in Sim mode, you know, like exploring her house, pretending that she's living there and stuff like that. So that's probably why I spent so many hours, to be honest. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I mean, I'm sure quite a few people actually had that thing. I do love Nevada, London levels, and certain South Pacific.
2 hours later.
God, you know those. I didn't like Antarctica as much, just simply because it's just way too creepy and a bit scary, particularly those mines. Mines levels actually should be just illegal, full stop. We recently played Tomb Raider 3 with the original game developers, which include Andy Sanham, who is the level designer, Tom Scott, the programmer, and Peter Connolly, the sound designer. You can watch it in the link in the description. I think you will learn quite a few interesting points in there. I think my most favorite level in Tomb Raider 3 is the compound. It's probably my unrealized gay dream of having my own personal convict army who will do lots of things and protect me from bad guys. Yeah. Number... Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris. I love ancient Egypt, which you could probably tell. And the fact that you can play Temple of Osiris with a few of your friends makes it absolutely awesome. The main problem, however, is that Diablo style looking from the top kind of perspective, it just does not feel right. Yeah, I know the market is as Lara Croft game series, which for me is kind of, you know, stupid. Why couldn't we just have that, but in our lovely third-person perspective, you know, the way we got used to it, and just make it a multiplayer. It's not like Tomb Raider is the same as Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, where you could, you know, you could change the story and no one would really notice. I mean, they have done reboots a few times with this series, come on. So just having a spin-off series which is, you know, set in a different timeline, but in a different game mechanic as well. I mean, why not? Why would it be bad to have? You could still have your reboot Lara, and you could have Lara Croft series, but it's, you know, similar but different, and also with multiplayer. Just don't get it, you know. Anyway, the rant is over and we're going to number 8. The Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The Shadow of the Tomb Raider is my favorite out of the entire reboot trilogy. And particularly the first few levels, they're just absolute gem. Environments, cutscenes, locations, they just make you feel involved and make you feel, you know, responsible for the apocalypse you're causing. Can I just say, just like you did with Tomb Raider 4. However, at some point it just becomes a slightly grinding experience where you have to do all these errand quests, and the flashback narrative just got on my tits. Don't get me wrong, I do love exploring Lara's manor in this game, but why do you have to do it as, you know, as a child? Why are they still focusing on loss of the father bit? Luckily, they did not focus on Lara's relations with her father way too much in this game. And I generally think this is the closest they have been to Tomb Raider in the entire reboot trilogy. Number 7. Tomb Raider Unfinished Business. This add-on pack for the first Tomb Raider game was released after Tomb Raider 3 was out, and it was developed by Eidos American studio. Unfinished Business is very challenging and unforgiving. There are lots of enemies and levels are very complicated, and it's set in Egypt. What else do you want? And I think Unfinished Business shows very well that Tomb Raider games could actually be developed by someone else, some other studio, and it still could be close to the original series and still be enjoyable by classic fans. Just gentle reminder, that it can be done. Number 6. Tomb Raider Underworld. Okay, hear me out. Despite all the bugs and absolutely awful PlayStation 2 release of this game, I think this is the closest Crystal Dynamics have ever been to the original Tomb Raider series. Yes, okay, there are still her family matters you're trying to resolve, but they feel almost secondary, and when you actually play the levels you completely forget that you're doing this to discover your mother, because you're exploring the level for the sake of exploring that level. And you're just finding treasures, you're finding secrets, you're fighting enemies, you're solving puzzles. This is what Tomb Raider is supposed to be. You're doing it for fun. The locations are pretty vast and very, very atmospheric, and enemies are very challenging too. Also, the music in this one is just these sound effects here. It's slightly repetitive because the tracks are quite short, so you can hear the same moment over and over again, but you just don't get annoyed by it. It's just so nice to hear it. It's just so great and cozy. So I think the music here was done very, very well. Unfortunately, Crystal Dynamics decided to end that storyline and produce another reboot, which is a huge shame. I mean, she finally got a closure with all her family problems. That's it. We can leave that behind now. We can now focus on Lara, we can now focus on her adventures. It is a real shame, because I was actually looking forward to explore the world with Lara, who is not haunted by memories and who is just doing it for the sake of, Tomb Raidering. 5. Tomb Raider 1. Now, this is where it all began. The original Tomb Raider was not my first Tomb Raider game, so I don't really hold much nostalgia for it. But as far as Tomb Raider game goes, this is basically it. This one started the formula. Probably would have rated it much higher if it was my first Tomb Raider game, but it wasn't, so I don't really hold much feelings to it and attachment, but I do love it, and yeah, it's number 5. And in the 4th place we have Tomb Raider 3 The Lost Artifact add-on. This is another add-on pack, and it was done for Tomb Raider 3. I rate it so highly mainly because of the secrets in this game. Normally, secrets in Tomb Raider games would give you some extra armor or medipack. In Tomb Raider 3, collecting them all would unlock you a secret level. In Tomb Raider Chronicles, you could see some concept arts and storyboards and things like that. But in The Lost Artifact, it's a completely different thing. The secrets here are normally alternative routes to finish the level, and you can discover some pretty cool locations. For example, there is a secret in the first levels where you could actually get inside Loch Ness Monster. I know. Or you could get to the Lost Plateau. The secrets are really great in this game. And this extra touch for the secrets is why I love this game so much and why I rate it so highly. And the 3rd place goes to Tomb Raider 4, The Last Revelation. Now, Tomb Raider 4 brought something new to the series. First of all, you could actually travel between the levels. You could freely go back and forth between them. Also, for the first time, Tomb Raider game follows Lara's personal quest, and her character has been developed to a brand new level. Lara feels responsible for her action, and she's trying her best to stop the apocalypse. Core design managed to make her emotional, whilst at the same time keep her cool and sassy as she was before. A lot of which is thanks to Andy Sanham and his scriptwriting. He just focused on her character whilst also developing the story around the game, and it just works amazingly. And it shows how the character could still be emotional and responsible for her actions, whilst at the same time still be relatable by the people who enjoyed previous games. Just, saying it out. Now, level design and puzzles in this are just something else. The puzzles are so hard and levels are so massive, and the fact that you could, travel between them just makes it even more difficult. Often you could find the locked door and spend hours looking for the key, and me personally, I was actually wondering quite a few times whether the key is actually in the game. This kinda gave a game a sense of realism, because if you are to discover an ancient door, chances are that the key is nowhere near it, or the key is forever lost, so you need to spend quite a few times to find it. Obviously all the keys are in the game, you just have to look for them really hard. So yeah, I think it's a right approach. I just love Tomb Raider: Lost Revelation, the ancient Egypt, the personal conquest that she's on to stop the apocalypse that she has caused, battling with her previous mentor. It has it all. We focus on her personally whilst also enjoying Tomb Raidering, and towards the end of the game we kind of try to stop this apocalypse and feel even more responsible that we're causing it, that this sense of danger, the Minotaur battle is just very creepy, you know, there's impossibly to kill enemy who you could actually kill, you know, but you know, it's just, it's great, it's really great. Tomb Raider 4 is one of my favorites, and of course you can watch the developer stream where we played Tomb Raider 4 with the original game developers. I will leave the link in the description. In the second place we have Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness. This one quite a few people have love-hate relationship with. I remember the first time I played it on my old computer with 8 megabytes of video memory. It was literally a slideshow and I had to play it in 320 by 240. So the picture was not as nice as you could, you know, imagine. And I managed to finish like half of that game with 3 to 5 frames per second, until I got the brand new GeForce 2 graphics card with 64 megabytes of video RAM. Ah, those were the days. The best thing in this game is obviously Lara's character. I was in my late teenage years when I played The Angel of Darkness, and I could relate to her on so many levels. I was, you know, this on edge, kinda angry teenager with a bit of sass. So yeah, The Angel of Darkness resonated me quite a lot. Another thing to like here are the locations and the details in them. Next time you play it, just look around you, look at all the photos on people's desks, look at the books on their cupboard, you know, it's just very well detailed and it's absolutely beautiful. The music is great, the story is great, but yeah, it's a real shame it was not finished to what we were promised. That being said, The Angel of Darkness is still very close and dear to my heart, and this is why it's forever one of my favorite Tomb Raider games. And if you're interested, you can watch our Let's Play of Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness with Murty Scofield, the writer, and Peter Connolly, the composer. The link will be where? I will leave the link in the description. And number 1 is Tomb Raider Chronicles. Now, this was my very first Tomb Raider game. I remember being stuck on the first level for like a day and a half. Here I am, 20 years later, still playing Tomb Raider games, you know, and having my room decorated as a tomb. As far as Tomb Raider formula goes, I think this works very well. It has it all: puzzles, boss fights, industrial locations, supernatural stuff, spooky stuff, action and stealth elements. Now, unfortunately, the very last levels were so rushed that there are quite a few game-breaking bugs, so you need to save regularly. But nevertheless, Tomb Raider Chronicles is forever number 1 for me. You know, I was just going through my copy of it and I found the letter that Janelle Elliott, Lara's voiceover, because, you know, she was my first Lara. She wrote me a letter in the manual here. You know, I was playing this game when I was like 12 and I was very depressed and quite suicidal, you know, in a country where I have no prospects, where if I would come out I would be put to prison if I'm lucky. And here I am, you know, many years later in a different country, in a different place, friends with many of the original developers, and you know, yeah, it's just weird. And you know, if you are struggling right now, and obviously we all are because of the lockdown, but if you are, remember, this is not gonna be forever, you know, things will improve. So yeah, quite a weird way to end the video, all emotional and stuff. Anyway, so this was my top 10 Tomb Raider games. It is my opinion, but I would like to know yours, so please leave a list in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.